Welcome back to Silver Age Sleuthing, the show where we take a look at the early days of the Marvel Universe to find tidbits of trivia about our favorite heroes. This week, we're going to take a look at the first issue of The Incredible Hulk and try to find some things from his early origin story that have been left behind from future adaptations. Now, most people probably know that the traditional Hulk we think of is pretty different from his original incarnation. He started out gray instead of green, and he came out at night instead of when he got angry. Most of that's common knowledge, but there are a handful of other details from his origin that might still surprise you. Such as one character-defining moment that is often omitted from modern adaptations. Movies, TV, and even alternate universe comics usually keep the part where Bruce Banner gets zapped by gamma rays during an experiment, but what's rarely included is that in the original story, his exposure to gamma rays was the result of a selfless act of courage. Meet Rick Jones, the Marvel Universe's most well-traveled sidekick. He's an orphan with his own car that may or may not be his, and on this unfortunate day, he decided to hang out in the blast zone of the Gamma Bomb test and would have been fried had Banner not thrown him into the trench. You also might not know that it was no accident that Banner got hit with the bomb. He was set up by Igor, a commie spy that neglected to keep the bomb from going off while Banner was out in the test site. Igor's inevitable discovery and capture puts the Hulk in the path of his first real villain, the Gargoyle. No, not that one. This one. The Gargoyle is a Soviet scientist whose exposure to massive amounts of radiation didn't leave him quite as pretty as Bruce Banner. But before all that, we can't forget about Betty Ross, Banner's love interest, who makes some very astute predictions about the still-forming Marvel Universe. She suspects that the world is about to undergo some drastic changes, and she has no idea how right she is. Speaking of predictions, she's not the only one. Her father gets real mad that the Hulk scared his little girl and vows to destroy him. I'm sure that stubbornness won't end in tragedy again and again and again. But back to the Hulk, if you want to know how the strongest one there is defeats his first foe, it turns out that he didn't. The Gargoyle captures the Hulk, who then turns back into Bruce Banner on the way back to Mother Russia. One would think that the Russians having the world's top nuclear scientist in their possession would be even better for them, but Banner manages to talk his way out of trouble. Using the power of science, Banner is able to unmutate the Gargoyle by blasting him with radiation until he turns into Lex Luthor. Handsome, but probably realizing that his brain is 94% tumor now, he tells off his commie masters and blows himself up. The issue ends with Bruce and Rick escaping back to the US in a personal intercontinental rocket, because apparently using missiles as transportation is just a thing in the Marvel Universe's Cold War era. Oh, and it is, trust me, but you'll find out more about that next time, so be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check back in next week.